I'm a firm believer that if it's not a win for the whole team, meaning all the metrics, all the goalposts, all the everything point to the ultimate win, then it's not a win at all. And for me, that led into this, like, to know what a win looks like for me in the field. That same idea, we took it from the big picture, 30,000 foot view, so then now I had to make sure that my renovation directors and my project managers and my crew and my foremen and all my trades knew what a win looked like for them. Because I honestly believe if you've got that why right out in front, if you know where the goalpost is, then every decision that we can make, whether it's what we're going to spend, how we pull the permit, what we're doing, what we're not doing, how we're addressing everything is informed by that ultimate win.
For all of you guys on here today, I met Bobby a few months ago. Him and I had lunch, and Bobby is the VP of OfferPad Renovate. So that means for the last, I think he said 14 years. Is that right, Bobby?
Well, 9 years with OfferPad, but 14 years in the space. Yeah.
Okay. So for the last 9 years at OfferPad, he's been running the renovation arm for OfferPad. But here's what's crazy. OfferPad is a publicly traded company. They're a $1 billion organization. But really, he represents renovation for a lot of the hedge funds, the REITs. They don't all just have the ability to turn their own properties and turn them into rentals. Some of them do. Many of them don't. So Bobby's been able to participate in about 40,000 renovations with OfferPad. And their volume is like almost uncomprehendable. Even if you're a mega flipper doing 200 or 300 a year, 1,000 a month sounds insane, I think, for most people. So Bobby's going to come and be with us in person in Clearwater. And he's going to have a follow-up to this where they'll go deeper on stuff. But I wanted, before he came out there and you're like, mind is blown by all the crazy stuff they do, I wanted you guys to have an understanding of what they do and kind of what their format is and like why they're even talking to regular investors like us now. So Bobby, with that said, man, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome, man. Adam, thank you so much for having me. Everybody, it's really good to meet you. I'm excited to get to meet everybody in person here in a month, right? 6 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah. Well, a little bit about me. So my name's Bobby Triplett. I'm based here out of Tampa, but I basically live on whatever Delta Sky Club I happen to be in however many times a week is where I'm on an airplane. I just got back from Dallas just this afternoon. And I oversee all the renovation operations nationwide for OfferPad. A little bit about us. You guys mind if I share a couple slides? Is that all right? Awesome. Let me make sure. Tell me if everyone can kind of see this. You got me?
Yes.
All right.
We can see it.
So, a little bit about us. For the first 6 years of OfferPad, we bought, renovated, and sold our homes. Thousands and thousands and thousands of our own homes. My team was 100% dedicated, all my employees, just to renovating our homes. Sometimes we were doing, in 2020 to like the beginning of 22, we were doing 1,200 houses a month. We were flipping across the country. It was probably some of the most insane time of my life. And in the last 3 years, when the rates went up, we kind of changed our acquisition appetite, like Adam was even talking about. And we started offering my renovation team as a service. I do a ton of work with like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the whole thing kind of started when our biggest competitor in the space came to us and asked us to re-renovate about 300 to 400 houses of theirs. Which at first I was like, well, that's a nice little feather in the cap, thinking, oh, the enemy, wants me to do this. And then I was like, well, why do I want to do this? Like, is this all right? I don't want them to take my secrets. But in reality, like, it was one of those opportunities to really kind of partner across the aisle. And we had gotten a reputation for what I call a comprehensive renovation, whereas our competitor would do more a la carte. Hey, this one piece of trim needs to be fixed. It called out on the inspection, so they would just do that piece of trim instead of also painting that trim to match the rest of the trim. So it looked very disjointed, not on purpose. And they had hundreds of homes that had been sitting 120 plus days, no offers. Stuff was not moving. Obviously time is money, so they're hemorrhaging, their ROIs tanking. So we came in, and in about 90 days, we renovated 300 or 400 of their homes. One of the things I'm most proud of in that partnership is within 2 weeks of turning in each property, every one of them had an offer on it, and they were all sold. And I was extremely happy about that. Well, that birthed what we call OfferPad Renovate, where we are now leveraging my teams across the country to renovate on behalf of investors just like you. On any given month right now, we're swinging hammers for between 400 and 600 houses that we are still flipping. We probably 100 to 150 of our own and 300 to 500 homes for investors just like you that we're renovating. And I wanted to put my cell up there. This is my email address, and this is my team that helps us renovate. DJ Carlson is my number 2. He oversees all my field operations. He's out of the Charlotte office. David Beisner would be your first point of contact. He onboards all our clients, helps with any of the compliance stuff. He's right here in Tampa as well. And then Shay Neal handles all of our HOA-related stuff, permitting-related stuff, invoicing-related stuff for any of your homes. And she's in our headquarters there in Phoenix. Last year, in 2024, I renovated 1,767 homes just for investors like you. These are not OfferPad owned. These are whether they were large REITs, private family shops, single-family rentals, REOs. We did this. These were last year's stats. And those 1,767 homes we did in 14.73 days on average. And that serviced 33 different clients just like you guys. And for us, I'll give you a little idea of our footprint. We're not everywhere, but we're a lot of places. So 15 states, 20 plus major metros. And like in Tampa, where I'm from, we go all the way out like Holiday, Hudson, down to Punta Gorda. And then from the Gulf beaches all the way basically across to Port St. Lucie on the other side of the coast, and then all the way up. It's pretty large, but really heavy in a lot of like the big institutional markets, so Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, all the major Texas ones. And so what's great about this is we get an opportunity to swing hammers every day all over the country. And I've got W-2 renovation directors in each one of those markets, as well as, dozens and dozens of project managers. What I wanted to share, what Adam asked me to hear, is just a little bit of kind of like the ethos, or like, I don't know if it's a secret sauce, but it's one of those, like, it's kind of the mindset that me and my team will take when it's kind of renovating. One of the things that I teach my team and I preach all the time, and it might sound super simple and you probably read it in a million books and I didn't come up with it myself, is control what you can control. And what's not in my control? The market. Interest rates are not in my control, like appetite of my clients from an acquisition side, mergers and acquisitions of companies that happen all over the place. But what is in my control, and what I believe is in your control as well, is the way we respond to this changing environment around us. There's got to be like this theme of ownership, like not a victim mentality of what comes, but like, hey, what can I own in this thing that has so many variables? What is the thing that I can control? And once we understand that, it instantly starts making things so much more predictable. It allows us, to systemize, to take the guesswork out. And that's what we've done over the last 9 years. And honestly, it's been one of the biggest reasons why we've been successful. And I'm going to give you a couple of those things that we have said, hey, these are things that we are going to control. That you can instantly apply to you, whether you're a huge hedge fund or whether you're getting ready to do your first flip. I wanted to give you guys some real world insight from us. And this might be old hat. You might know what it means. You might practice it every day, but chances are you've made a lot of mistakes. Like I've made a lot of mistakes and I needed to learn these too. So I figured I'd share them out with you guys. The first thing, if we're going to have this control what we can control conversation, I think it starts with two very important questions or understandings. The first one off the bat is understanding what a win looks like. And this is for you first before it goes to your team. How many of you guys have ever been through like a post-mortem conversation? Or if you know what they are, I mean, you don't have to raise your hand. I'll pretend like you had. The idea of a post-mortem is after the deal is done and it's sold, everyone sits around, what went right, what went wrong. Usually post-mortem sounds a lot like death, and it's usually the conversations about what went wrong. Very early on in my career here at OfferPad, as we were getting the company off the ground, I had so much frustration. My team was frustrated. I was pulling my hair out. And what I'm learning is, and what I learned big time here, was a true win has to be congruent through the whole organization. If it's just a win for acquisition, Like they hit whatever metric they're supposed to hit, but now that deal's a bad deal, right? Or now I don't have enough money to renovate it, or I blow the budget and now we can't hit a comp value, or the ARV is blown out of the water because we weren't all congruently rowing in the same direction. Like the win has to be a win for everybody if it really is going to be a win. I'll give you guys a story. So our Dallas market, we had just launched it, hired some new leadership there. Everybody was super excited to impress. One of our leaders had on the acquisition side had said, in Dallas, we need to celebrate the team who can buy 100 houses a month consistently. Like this is what we need to do. So that leader heard, I need to buy 100 houses if I want the gold stars, if I want the attaboy, if I want the raise, if I want the bonus, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but anybody given the right amount of money can buy 100 houses a month. Everybody can buy 100 houses a month. Not everybody can buy 100 houses a month that perform. And that was that like one key phrase that really got us in a world of hurt. So guess what? He goes out and buys 100 houses. He's getting the attaboys. He's getting celebrated on all the meetings. T-shirts are being made for his team. Everybody's feeling like $1 million. And then those 100 houses come to my department and like they are messes. Messes not because it's a bad house or it needs a haircut. Messes because the recipe of what we need to do is off. There's not enough money that's there. There's no way we're hitting comp level. The amount of very extensive renovations to foundations and septics and all these things that like can't be done within our time allotments that we're given. It was a win for the acquisition guy to get 100. And it was an absolute abject failure for everybody else in the team. Of those 100 houses, that first year we did that, he did it 3 months in a row. 10%. 10% were winners. And it was one of the biggest holes we had to dig ourselves out of in the state of Texas. And it was all because we didn't truly know what the real win was like. The leader was celebrated for doing what he thought the win was like, and maybe what somebody, his boss, told him this, I just need 100 houses, man. And the implied was 100 houses that perform, and that's going to be congruent all the way out. But that's not what was said. And so I think, honestly, as you're evaluating your business and you're looking at the properties, and maybe you guys have acquisition folks, maybe you're doing it yourself, maybe you have disposition folks or your own project manager. I'm a firm believer that if it's not a win for the whole team, meaning all the metrics, all the goalposts, all the everything point to the ultimate win, then it's not a win at all. And for me, that led into this, like to know what a win looks like for me in the field. That same idea, we took it from the big picture, 30,000 foot view, so then now I had to make sure that my renovation directors and my project managers and my crew and my foremen and all my trades knew what a win looked like for them. Because I honestly believe if you've got that why right out in front, if you know where the goalpost is, then every decision that we can make, whether it's what we're going to spend, how we pull the permit, what we're doing, what we're not doing, how we're addressing everything is informed by that ultimate win. And here's the biggest deal. Like if you as the leader and if me as the leader, if I don't know what that looks like, there's an old saying that if it's a mist in the pulpit, it's a fog in the pews. That means if the preacher doesn't know what he's really talking about, no one else is going to get it either. And so it was a big, hard gut check where I had to look myself in the mirror and like, I have to figure out what my true metrics are for my team that are reproducible, that are easy to understand, and that are congruent with where the rest of this project and the team as a whole needs to go. It was interesting. Well, I'll tell you another story. One of the first in the early days of OfferPad, we were buying. Somebody had like a sweet tooth for these 1920s bungalows in Ybor City. And if you've ever been to them, like they look really cool on TV and they've got that craftsman vibe to them. But in reality, most of them are held together with termite excrement and the red tape or the caution tape that the city had put around it right before they almost condemned it, but sold it to us. And none of them that I've done, and I've done hundreds of them, have ever gone on budget, have ever gone according to schedule, even with all the intentions in place. And so early on, there was so much emphasis about be under budget, be under budget, be under budget, be under budget. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wholeheartedly believe with every fiber of my being, that is the worst metric that anyone can do when they're approaching a project, especially with a renovation. Because guess what? You can be under budget and that house is not going to be insurable, or it's not going to show right, or all of a sudden it's not going to match what you thought it would be. Anybody can be under budget, but you get what you pay for. And I remember, like, I just thought because being under budget was what everyone was screaming, that must be our new goalpost. I started finding that in these 1920s bungalows, we were always over budget. So in my mind, I'm trying to connect the dots. That's that whole 100 houses thing. All right, let's find a way to, all right, I'm obviously 2 weeks late on this. Granted, it was like a 10-day backup at this time. I'm like, let me value engineer this. I can get laminate installed tomorrow, basically, because I had a custom installer that would do it. He's going to give me a deal. I'm going to save a couple $1,000s on this house. I'm going to get it done, 8 days ahead of schedule, and I'm going to come in being the hero. House looked great, get it done, put it on the market. Our listing photos come back to our disposition folks, and I am getting my absolute ass chewed the next morning. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I did it. I came under budget. I made it look beautiful. What is the problem? Well, the comp that they had, that they were basing their ARV off of, what they were trying to do everything to, was comps that all of them had granite throughout. All of them had upgraded kitchens, undermount sinks, the whole 9 yards. And nobody told me that was what the comp level was. They just kept saying, get under budget, get under budget. And I ended up saving the company $2,000 on the front side, but lost them $12,000 because we couldn't hit the comp levels that we needed to be. And for me, like, I didn't quite know what that win looked like as a whole. Like, I definitely checked the box that I thought we needed to hit, and that sounded really good on paper, but ultimately cost us way more money than if I had just been able to ask the right questions or understand this picture back then. I'm sure nobody's ever done that on this call. I'm sure nobody has chased the almighty under budget God and have knelt at his altar and felt the pain. But for me, that's one of the big things that drives me to make sure, when we're renovating for an OfferPad house, I know what that recipe looks like no matter what from day one. And no two houses are going to be the same. We have conditioned our acquisitions teams and our inspection teams to make sure we've got detailed expectations and comp values, pictures, so that my project manager is not out there in the field completely just swinging in the dark. Same thing is for us when we onboard new clients to renovate for. One of the first things, if I end up getting the privilege of swinging hammers for you somewhere around the country, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what's the recipe on this house, right? What does the win look like? Because the last thing I want to do is overscope it or underscope it, chase the wrong goalpost. And then you're sitting here like, well, that was great, but it's a loser for me. We want to be that kind of partner. And hopefully we take that real estate knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks and help you not have to learn those lessons yourself. The second thing that I'll say that is probably the biggest thing that you can control. If you know what the win looks like for the whole team and your people in the field know what their part of that win looks like. The second part is understanding partnerships. I have an honor and a great stewardship responsibility. You have a multi-million-dollar payroll just for my renovation teams around the country. I came from Invitation Homes. It was a multi-million-dollar payroll for everyone who's managing renovations, turns, and maintenance. Every single REIT that's out there, the big ones anyway, have dedicated dollars to people understanding this. And it's very expensive, and that's because it is very hard to do at scale. It's very hard to do consistently. And that sounds a little bleak because I don't know if everybody on this call has got access to millions and millions of dollars to hire people all over the country to make sure you're getting what you want. That's a very expensive way of doing it. And if that's out of your control, the money, and you can't let the project get out of control, I'm a firm believer that this is why partnerships matter more than anything, right? I can't expect everybody on my team to know every single thing, all the expertise every single time for every single market we're in. But we hire people strategically to know what those expertise are. And I think one of the biggest goals in this partnership mindset is the sharing of knowledge and helping out. If one of my guys gets the finish line every single time, but 5 other of his colleagues can't seem to find their way there, like, that's not really a real win. That's not really, I don't want just one rock star and 5 people that haven't figured it out yet. Like, in my teams around the country, our goal is like, how do we leave everybody better than we found them? How do we elevate and raise our game? How do we train? The same thing goes for our clients too. Because expecting one person, whether you're a new investor or a seasoned investor, to honestly know this very complicated world of renovations in the different municipalities and then try to expand that into a different market. It's like parachuting into the Amazon with nothing but a butter knife to cut your way out. We have a saying on our team, we call it machete up. And the idea is, hey, as a leader, it's our job to create paths for our teammates and our clients' success. Like when we're working with one of our clients who might be buying Section 8 voucher-based homes and wanting to flip them, we're gonna show them the way that this needs to be done, and so you're not wasting money or not spending money twice or not underdoing it and finding that you can't pass an inspection. Or if one of our clients is a single-family rental client, like we're going to show him or her our repair replace guidelines that we have been buying homes like this for all the big REITs for a decade, and we use the same protocol. We want to share that wisdom, because the last thing I'd want somebody to do is to try to renovate a single-family rental house like you were doing a fix and flip. They're close, but they're not the same. And there's definite ways to save and overspend. And we want to help clear that path. I think because for me, honestly, guys, leadership is not just about finding my way to the other side. It's about racing back into the jungle, machete in hand, willing to help clear paths for other people to succeed. Like that's an ethos on our team across the board. And it's not just for the OfferPad folks that bleed orange. It's for all of the people that we have the stewardship privilege of getting to renovate for. I don't know if you, Adam, if your team, if you guys are big Simon Sinek people, I'm kind of a little bit obsessed, and I make all my people read all of his books, and I like to quote him a lot. But there's this one quote I wanted to share with you guys tonight. It says, "The goal is not simply for you to cross the finish line. It's but to see how many people you can inspire to run with you." Hiring an expert is one thing. You can do that. It's expensive. It's not always reproducible. It's not always scalable, depending on everybody's budget. But partnership is possible always. It's a whole new world altogether, and it's a completely different kind of win, like we have found, that is born when partnerships are real. There's a book that I read last year that I made everybody go through. It's called No One's Coming to Save You. It's a Green Beret's Guide to Getting Big Shit Done is what it's called, by Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. And he has this theory that I have taken to heart about sharing your scar stories, making sure that, because not everybody wins. Not everybody succeeds. Every single one of us have failed. Every single one of us have stubbed our toe. Every single one of us have got, egg on our face, like everybody. And I think one of the biggest things in a partnership mentality is like, hey, I want to share my scar stories so that you don't have to make them for yourself. I could save you a lot of heartache, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of money. And if you are partnering with someone, because I know I'm not in everybody's market, but as you're seeking out partners, in this renovation space to help you scale your businesses, like I would challenge to make sure that you're finding somebody that's not just trying to take from you. Yeah, I got a job. Let me see if I can just pad that thing up and milk it for all it's worth. But someone that's really willing to help guide you, to machete up and lead you through some of the complicated or some of the confusing, or maybe to you, but might be obvious to them, ways so that you can really look at the long game here. In a world of renovations, especially at scale, if we as leaders commit to the daily, like deciding that we are going to control what we can control, I think it has an opportunity to drastically impact everybody's business. I know it has done massive amounts of good for my team and for our shareholders, and for the clients that we've renovated this year. I think we've almost tripled the amount of clients that we've onboarded, as we've been doubling down and really learning about these amazing mastermind networks that until January, I had no clue existed, man. I feel like the biggest loser in the room, because I'm like, these are absolute like gold of collaboration and wisdom and knowledge. And I feel like as we have, grown so exponentially, I'm having fun partnering with people just like that, you guys on this call. I think one last kind of truth for me that matters, and when you're looking at what kind of partners that you might be, considering, the one core factor about a partner that has to be non-negotiable to me is having boots on the ground, like W-2, their own employee, boots on the ground, because accountability is only a reality in my world if I've got my own boots on the ground. Because how many times have we, or maybe not you, this has been me. Hey, it's Friday, 5 o'clock. I've got a cleaner that's supposed to be, showing up and finishing. They said they're running late. They'll send me a picture. I get a random picture that's sent to me. So I call in my photographer is supposed to be there Saturday morning, and the house isn't clean. But I'm looking at a picture in my hand of a clean house, but the house isn't clean. Well, they didn't get around to it, and they thought they'd just get it to the morning. So they sent me a picture that they had, and they thought, because the one person who was out there was just trying to, either get to his kid's school or maybe get to his cold beer. I don't know what it was, but he was late. And so the picture lied. Maybe his intention was good and he was going to do it early, but he was trying to, or maybe he was trying to get his crew paid and thought he'll just come in on Saturday because Bobby's not going to be there today. And I end up like getting, one, embarrassed. Two, it's going to cost me money and trip charges as now I have to send people back. And three, is a huge opportunity for that relationship to not be existent anymore in my world. Because pictures can lie. I don't have a six-pack. Adam has seen me. There's no way on God's green earth anyone's going to think I have a six-pack. But if I put a filter on it and if I hold it right and I make that weird face, you know what I mean, and the lighting is there, I can maybe make you think I have one. How many times have any of us got pictures from our painters and it's like right up against the wall and you're like, oh, yeah, paint looks good. And then you get there and there's roller bumps everywhere, all over the ceilings, and there's drips everywhere. Well, they didn't put that in the picture. They faked that six-pack right there. Pictures can lie mainly because the thing is, the person taking them, if they don't have your best interests in mind or your partnership in mind or cashing the paycheck that I'm going to give them in mind, they're going to do their best interests. That's not like putting like a cloud over humanity. I'm definitely a glass half full, but I've learned the hard way that their number one priority is usually them unless I'm paying for them. And so pictures can lie because people are people. We make mistakes. AI, as much amazing things as AI can do in the renovation space, from some scoping ideas and accountability ideas, AI still can't smell. And AI's, walking a house that has been quality controlled over pictures, and then you walk that house yourself and you find out, oh, it's not so quality controlled. Like there's so much that can get lost. And AI still can't smell. I mean, that house might smell like, I was just in one in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago on pictures. Looked like $1 million. Looked like a quick paint and carpet job. When I got there after spending an hour in this place, like I could still smell the cat urine and nicotine to this day if I think about that address hard enough. I mean, it was one of those, we're going to have to rip every subfloor out. It was soaked all the way through. The trim was like, I thought it was just like the natural light that made everything look kind of that yellowish orangish. No. It was the nicotine stains of like probably 20 years of people smoking in the house that, they tried to paint over it, but it's bleeding through. And that's not something that the computer is going to find for you. So I found that like having my own boots on the ground, or the people that I partner with around the country, having their actual W-2 boots on the ground, like that's the way that you can have accountability and ensure it. The problem with it is, right, hiring your own sometimes is super expensive. The other part is scaling. Well, in order in my world for a project manager to be able to pay for himself, he's got to handle 12 to 15 jobs a month. Well, what happens if you only bought 2 jobs that month? And now you're thinking to yourself, like, man, am I going to let this guy go? That's somebody's family. Like, that's not a way to really run your business. And so there's a question mark sometimes if you can't keep up with volume demands or you're trying to scale into new markets. So that's why I think finding someone you can partner with who's already there, that's why that takes, and it eliminates the pressure of the financial, it eliminates the pressure of the volume capacity, and it eliminates, honestly, the big question mark of accountability. So for me, over the last 3 years, as we've been partnering with investors just like you, I've been able to help folks in a couple different ways. 3 different ways, really. The first one is a pressure relief valve. Say, Adam, you're used to doing 10 flips a month in your backyard, but you want to go to 20. Great. You handle first 1 through 10. I'll handle 11 through 20. I don't need to take things away from your people, or you got someone from church that does this, or someone from softball, or someone, that you've known in another world is helping you out. Like, I don't need to take that away from them, but I can help you on that pressure relief valve. That way you're not having to worry about trying to hire extra people and ride that volume wave. The second way that we've really honestly been able to help people is on market expansion. one of my favorite stories is we were doing a ton of renovations in greater St. Louis area for a company that was Section 8 voucher-based rentals. Well, they went and raised a bunch of money on Wall Street to try to institutionalize and put an institutionalized fund for Section 8 rentals. They raised that money on the partnership of us that anywhere that we were currently renovating, that's where they would buy. So today I'm renovating for them in Indianapolis, in Jacksonville, Florida, in Tampa, in Houston, in Dallas, in Ohio, and St. Louis, just because, and they didn't have to go hire a single other employee to do that. It was the same process, the same payment schedule, the same product, the same people. And then because I'm already there, it really allowed them to expand. Maybe you've been thinking about, I'd really love to, I come across deals in Minneapolis all the time, but like I'm afraid to say yes because I don't know anybody there, or Las Vegas or Denver. Well, now you know somebody that's there. And so we're able to open up the possibilities of what that market expansion could be. But honestly, the third way and the most important way, what we're really able to do as a partner because of what we control is consistency. Our product, our pricing, and our timelines. All of our prices are pre-negotiated already. Like, for instance, I'll give you this because I'm from Tampa and I'm here and Adam's here. Like, what I charge to paint a house to you, the client, is $2.13 a square foot. That's walls, trim, ceiling, doors, labor, material, tax tag, title, out there, everything. So for $2.13, if you had a 2,000 square foot house, you can instantly multiply and know when you're underwriting the house, no matter what, I'll know what it'll cost me to paint it if Bobby and his team at OfferPad do it. I have my flooring pre-negotiated, I have my roof per square pre-negotiated, I have my HVAC pre-negotiated, I have all of these things. So I'm not waiting for bids on them. It's the same price every time. I don't know if you've figured this out before, but I definitely learned this the hard way. Like, somebody's going to give you a great deal on a paint job to get you hooked in with them. Oh man, I really like Jeff's painting, right? He gives me a great deal. Well, the next time, man, it didn't feel like a great deal because he had to make up for the great deal that he gave me the first time because he underbid and now he's got it over. For us, consistency is key. That price to paint is going to be the same price, no matter if it's a 5,000 square foot house or if it's a 500 square foot house. That way you can inform your underwrite. The next thing that consistency for me is timelines. I've got about 10 years of data at OfferPad that my teams have put together, nine plus, that for every $1,000 in approved spend, I've got a day or less to get it done. So once you sign that contract and it's $20,000 job, I've got 20 days or less to get it done. And I've got nothing if I'm not consistent. Some of my markets, I'm even faster than that. Like the Charlotte and Raleigh is probably my fastest markets in the country. Those PMs and senior PMs have been going on 7 years and they've got their stuff so dialed in and their trades dialed in. You're not having to wait for, hey, okay, when can you get started, Bobby? As soon as that contract's signed, we dispatch same day, 24 hours, I'll have boots on the ground. So you're not like, hey, 3 weeks later, can you squeeze me in? For us, time is money. So if you can look at your carrying costs, your hold, your utilities, the risk of a house being on the market vacant, all of the above, and you can reduce some of those question marks by having a consistent product, having consistent pricing, and having consistent timelines, I think that allows people to have, at least for the investors we're working for, a confidence to want to grow their business. So for us, that's how we help people. Those are a couple of my little takeaways that might have been elementary to some of you, but for me, I learned those lessons the hard way about knowing what that win looks like for the whole team, know what my team's part of that win looks like in the field, and then finding the right kind of partners across the country to help you scale. I've got tons of other stuff, but I don't want to dominate the whole conversation, Adam, but that's kind of what I wanted to share tonight.
Bobby, I think we'll go deep. I mean, we'll go as deep as people want at the Clearwater event.
Okay. Yeah.
When we're there, but I'm sure there's just going to be a standard set of questions. I know people will be wondering, and everybody, you're welcome to just come off mute and ask Bobby a question. But Bobby, talk about the markets you're in, and any, like, would you ever go out of those markets? Would you open new markets? Would there be a volume requirement for you to be able to do that?
Yeah. So here's the map again. If everyone can see that. OfferPad, the mothership, we are not in Minneapolis, but OfferPad Renovate is in Minneapolis. 2 years ago, one of my largest clients, we did probably 1,800 doors for them in just a little over a year. this is back in 23. They were getting it handed to them in Minneapolis, and we were helping them everywhere else. Like, could you please consider coming? If we guaranteed you 20 houses a month, would you consider coming up there? It happened to be one of those markets that we had some great relationships. We were able to make a hire. We were able to get our license up there. And in about 90 days after that ask, we were able to say yes from like a pilot standpoint. It's been a year and a half that we've been in Minneapolis, and it's been super successful. And not only were we renovating for them, but now we were able to do so many other clients now that we're there. There are parts in my growth cycle, if you will, that like in Q4, we've got a couple markets that we're considering opening pilots in the beginning of the year. Like we're going to narrow it down because we keep getting asked. The good news is like, say, let's just pick Tampa because I'm here. Say you have a house that's maybe a little bit outside of the Tampa market that we currently in. Like those, maybe it was Ocala or something like that. Hey, I've got 3 I could give you right now if you're willing to say yes. Well, those are easier yeses because we would just run it out of our Tampa and just stretch a few extra miles than what we normally would. But if you were to say, hey, I want to go to Pensacola, that would be a much bigger lift, but not necessarily a no. But it definitely would be a no right now. It would take probably 90 days for us to be able to ramp up to be able to say a good yes. Because what I don't want to say is, yeah, man, I can handle that for you. And then we go up there and we just crap the bed. That's not going to be helpful for anybody. But we have expanded for some clients. We are considering a couple other markets here we're hopefully going to nail it down here in the next month or two about potentially stretching in 2026.
Yeah, we have a good amount of guys and gals in North Carolina and Virginia right now.
Yeah. North Carolina, we own most of that market except for Asheville. So we'll do the Triad, Winston-Salem area, Raleigh, Durham, and then the greater Charlotte. We even go down to like Columbia, South Carolina too.
Cool. And Sean's, you can come off mute, Sean. Lindsay and I just started a renovation. We just turned OfferPad on today on a property we just bought, literally signed today. And their team has already went there today and already scoping us literally same day.
That's exciting, man. Sean, what you got, brother?
Oh yeah, thanks for taking my question. As far as like, how do you navigate the whole permitting city approval process?
Yeah, so it's different in every market. For instance, like if you were going to be here in like Clearwater, Dunedin, we're going to pull permits to pull permits. There's no way you're trying, to get around any of that. If you're in Atlanta and Texas, half the time they don't even know how to spell permit. There's different regulations. Like the greater St. Louis metro area, we pull permits on every single thing, no matter what. It's just, you're going to get red tagged. Same thing in Minneapolis. Every market is slightly different. Like for instance, if I was in, one of the suburbs of Houston, like Spring or Pearland or Sugarland or something like that, where there's way less regulation, there's not necessarily even a need for permits unless it's like the life safety insurability things. But it's funny, like in the state of Florida, I'm a licensed general contractor. I can't put a roof on anybody's house, right? I'm legally not allowed to do that except for my own personal dwelling. So we pull a permit with a roofing contractor in the state of Florida every single time, no matter what. There's no such thing really in the state of Texas as a licensed roofing contractor. Anybody can just go put a roof on. So it's different for each market, if that's a way of answering that.
And is there like a minute, like how small of a project is kind of like the bare minimum necessary? Like obviously if someone wanted to get something painted for $2.13 a square foot, let's say that's all that was needed. I mean, obviously I imagine you guys have to have a certain threshold to be met.
Yeah, there's certain, like some of our clients will do their turns for them because we're also doing their renovation. And like I said, it's a partnership. Like, hey, I'm swinging hammers on 3 houses for you, Sean. And you were also wanting to do, you had a couple turns on some of your rentals you needed, and maybe they're only like $2,000 rentals turns. As a partner, hey man, I'll do this favor for you. We're doing other stuff for you right now. We're not maintenance, so I can't just go change a water heater. We don't do anything in an occupied space. Typically, we try to be that 4,000 and above is where it's really worth our time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And then you're not coming to California anytime soon, are you?
We were already in California. We used to have an office in the Inland Empire and in Sacramento. We pulled out at the beginning of 24, unfortunately. That I get asked to go to California all the time. And I have some great recommendations and some great contractors. I would be happy. I'll put a QR code at the end. Feel free to shoot me an email, and I can connect you with some good people.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sheldon, what you got, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Bobby? Thank you for your time tonight, man. This is pretty insightful. Quick question for you. Are you in the New York area?
No, we're not in the Northeast and we're not in the Northwest. Talk about they're both very difficult places to do this at scale. Unfortunately, we get asked all the time. The most north, I guess you would say, on the East Coast for us is that Raleigh area, which is not really north at all. That's still North Carolina. As far Minneapolis, we're in Minneapolis. That's as north as we go, but that's Midwest. So I'm sorry, man.
No worries, man. And it's not even something you're considering at this point.
I'm going to be honest with you. That is not on my radar. New York, Chicago, Miami. Those are certain markets that are just not on our radar right now.
Well, why don't you like those markets, Bobby? Like, what's the insight from OfferPad there?
So for me, like, it's about scalability. Like, I want to be able to hold my teams to the right metrics, and I want to be able to do it at a way that I don't have as many holding costs. I'm not having as much municipality involvement. The more labor union friendly the market, the more pain in the ass it is to do this at scale, and sometimes almost impossible. I have national flooring contracts, and I have vendors that, national flooring or regional flooring vendors that refuse to go into some of those markets because they're having people show up in rat costumes and picketing their stuff because they're not a union company. It makes it highly difficult. Miami, for those of you who are in Miami and are renovating, and if you're in, Miami-Dade, Broward, we call it the Miami HOA mafia. And if you're not approved by an HOA in there, like, they're not going to let you do the work, let alone be able to get. When I used to work for Invitation Homes, that was a struggle bus for us to be able to keep up with the rest of the country because of HOA regulations on who the renter is, who the contractor is, who's allowed through the gate, the whole 9 yards. And it really was a speed bump to scalability for us. Miss Jane.
Hey, it looks like you're in the Nashville area in
Yes, ma'am.
Tennessee. I'm in East Tennessee, specifically Knoxville. Do you have any plans to expand? Because that's about 3 hours away.
Yeah, not in the immediate, but it's definitely on the radar. Both Knoxville and Memphis, which are two completely different worlds, we get asked all the time. It's definitely on our short list, but not this. It won't be for this year, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Dawn?
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm great.
Thank you so much for putting this together. I had to run back in and out of the car, but I caught most of it. Do you have any plans to expand into the panhandle of Florida, specifically in the Pensacola area?
We have not. I'll tell you, maybe Adam, this helps answer the question too for everybody else. What we have found, so Pensacola hasn't been on our radar, honestly, at all. Where there is a big institutional presence, we find it is way easier to scale up at high volume. For instance, I went and opened up the Indianapolis market. There, American Homes for Rent is there, Progress Residential is there, First Key's there, and my ability to get the trades that are used to doing volume-based pricing and having project managers and having employees that understand scale, hey, I need you to be ready to do 40 to 50 flips a month for multiple different people. If there's large institutional REIT presence, those markets are typically ones that we have targeted first. The panhandles, like the Knoxville, those have been like tertiary markets for the REITs. And so it's much more difficult to scale up and spin up because you're still dealing with either what I would call like retail pricing contractors that, they're wanting to charge you $6-7 a square foot, and they're not necessarily doing it on your schedule. They're doing it on their schedule. Or you'll find somebody that's in the labor union that just will show up when they show up, which just is never going to be good. We had like St. Louis for me is probably my most difficult market that I've ever opened up and kept open up, mainly because there's no large institutional REIT presence there. And the how do I say this nicely? Like the lack of give a shit from anybody that we've done, had to do business with there. It was crazy. And that was the one big factor that differentiated that market particularly from a lot of the other ones we opened up, was because nobody was used to this big institutional machine. So we had to do a lot of educating and then shaking hands and saying goodbye to so many people in places like that, just because they didn't understand how to do it at scale.
Yeah.
Does that answer it? Yeah.
Yeah, and that reflects in that sense here too. But what about Mobile or so? Because these markets kind of are pretty close to each other.
Correct. We've done a little bit there in Birmingham. That's a small market for us, but our relational reach has not gone down to Mobile. That's Mobile. That's one that we've been considering, but not quite yet.
Well, maybe if you can get some of those people who have your mentality and bring them into the Pensacola Mobile,
man,
you can keep your.
If you know any of them in St. Louis, also send them my way, because I'm there and I'm still pulling my hair out. So.
Kansas City, but not St. Louis. Sorry. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. A couple more. Vikram, what you got, brother?
So at what point, like say, if I find a house and then I get back to you, right? That's when you take it over and then rehab and then fix it and give it to me.
I'll explain that part real quick if you want. So once you're under contract on a house, or if you already own it, you can, after you've onboarded with us as a customer, which by the way, doesn't cost you anything. There's no subscription. There's no volume minimums. Whether I do 1 house a month with you or 100 houses a month with you, like, I'm looking at this from a partnership. And when Adam and I spoke and had lunch, the idea is like, I want this to be a value add for your community. And so you don't have to feel bad. Well, I'm only going to do 1 house every other month. Great. I'd love to do that 1 house because you know why? I'm already renovating my own anyway. So once you onboard as a client, we'll give you this address right up here, renovatedofferpad.com. Vikram, you would say, hey, here's 123 Main Street in Raleigh. Here's the lockbox. And then the very next question, the most important question, that has everything to do what I spent half of this conversation talking about, is like, what does the win look like on this property, right? I want to know, is it a buy and hold? Is it a fix and flip? Is it a voucher base? Do you want me just to remove the dead body, spray Febreze, and mow the lawn because you're going to hotel it? You know what I mean? Like, I want to know like what the win looks like. You might say, hey, this is a full cosmetic gut, or hey, this is a light cosmetic upgrade, but we also know it needs an HVAC. I need some lines to color in, because immediately we'll dispatch it to the project manager in that area. Usually 3 to 4 business days, we'll have a detailed scope of work back to you. So no lump sums. You'll never see something that says new kitchen, $7,000. Well, what the heck does that mean? Right? New kitchen means something different to every single person on this call. So what we will do is room by room by room, line item by line item by line item, unit price. You'll see exactly how much it costs us per linear foot to install the cabinets. You'll see exactly how much it's going to cost us per square foot for the countertops. You'll have the measurements. You'll know exactly what each line item is for 2 reasons. One's accountability, right? You want to know where your money is going, right? And if we have to make a change before we sign the contract together, like if I said new kitchen $7,000 and you're like, well, maybe we'll just keep the existing, cabinets and countertops, and I write you a scope, revised scope, and it came back new kitchen $6,000, you'd be pretty ticked, because you would have thought it would have been more than that, right? It should be a lot more than that, by the way. Yeah. But that's how some contractors they're trying to pad line items to make up for contingencies. We would rather spend 3 to 4 days doing the detailed measurements, making sure everything is accounted for based on what your win looks like and based on what our expertise is. And then we'll get that back to you. We'll do a scope review, Vikram, like my director in that market. So Josh, who runs the Carolinas for me, would have a call with you and say, okay, Vikram, here's a scope of work, send it over. Here's a couple options. Hey, I know you said you wanted a new roof. We do not think this needs a new roof, especially as a fix and flip. Or, hey, I know you said you wanted to roll the dice in the water heater. Brother, this thing is shot. You don't waste your time rolling it up. We need to replace that. We'll give you that expertise. And then literally
Is that before the closing? Because I want, say suppose I get into a house. I want to see how much estimate I'm going to
Oh, yeah.
into rehabbing it. So say
If you're under contract, sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, if you're under contract, we'll get it back to you within the due diligence, and so that you can make an informed decision.
okay, whether it's a go or no go, that's when I decide based on your estimate, right?
Correct. Yes, and I realize, and I get this is a gamble for me. I realize there's a little bit of cost in doing business. So say we scoped 5 houses or 3 houses for you, Vikram, and we didn't get any of them. You decided to walk away. Probably on that 4th house, I'm going to charge you to scope it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if we get the job, then I'll take the scoping charge away. I'm willing to do one or two to make sure that we're learning each other because I'm trying to do a partnership. I don't have the ability to go walk a house. You're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this one down the street. What do you think? I typically won't have the ability to do that. So
Okay.
it has to be under contract.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, though, about that process?
Yep.
Good. Miss Stephanie.
Okay.
Hey, Bobby. Looks like you are in the Midwest. We're just south of you in Evansville, so I won't ask if you're in that market. But I don't think I heard you say anything about follow up. I'm just curious. Obviously we're going through the phase right now where if you were to use you guys, get it on the MLS, and then we have a list of things that needed to repair. Do you guys follow up with that, or
Yeah.
is that something? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we get so it can work a couple different ways. So we call that Benzer in our world, or like a Benzer inspection. So say you decided to roll a dice on a couple things, and in your contract negotiation, for seller concessions, you want to do a handful of items.
Right.
You would send that back up over to us, almost like a new property.
Okay.
Hey guys, you just renovated this. I know we didn't do the HVAC and we didn't do the roof, but we really need to do this. Can you get me a price for the HVAC and the roof? We would get that. We'd go. If it was something that we did do, like say we installed a brand new toilet, and for whatever reason something was off and it was running or leaking, and you could hear it, and that came on the inspection, we would absolutely go back out and warranty that toilet, and
Wonderful.
either make the adjustment that's on that. Now, if you said, hey, we're going to do just a service on the HVAC, and we, 3 months later, the house is sold or is under contract, but the HVAC is not working. Like, we can't warranty just a service. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we could
No.
absolutely go back out and have our techs go take a look at it.
Okay. Perfect answer to that question. Are you planning on moving a little south of Indy at any time?
Yeah, that's possible. Like at one time we had reached out a little bit into the Fort Wayne area. We had to retract a little bit, depending on volume. If it's, within an hour and a half, you know what I mean, of Indy, like we're open to it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in Tampa.
And I've got capacity in Indy, just so you know. That's one of the markets. Like if you gave me 20 houses a day, I've got
You do?
capacity there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Adam, how many more questions you want to do, brother?
Maybe like 2. Maybe we'll just take Alvin's and then we'll close out. And Bobby too. Can you just touch on like the how the payments work? Because I think that's a big one for people.
That's a great. Let me do payments and then I'll do Elvin and then we'll close it up. So here's how it works. So we're a publicly traded company. We have a risk assessment board that requires most of our new clients to do a 50% deposit at the time you sign your contract. I don't do any other draws. I won't ask for any. You'll never pay for a single material. All of that is there. I'm not using your deposit to fund and finish, Adam's 3 jobs that we started 2 months ago. That deposit is just mainly for to appease the risk assessment. Then we'll send you a final invoice after the QC walk is completed, and we just expect payment within 30 days of final invoice. Once you have had a handful of these projects have come through and your payments have all come in on time, there is a dollar threshold assigned to your company because when we onboard you as a client, we're going to do a little bit of investigation too about you. Like, hey, do you have a track record of paying your bills? Like, hey, are there any, liens against you that we need to know about? That's what we do. Some of our clients, when we do that assessment, they have a score that team evaluates, and we don't have to do deposits. Or, hey, we need to do 5 deposits, and then after the 5th deposit, we fully fund the whole thing ourselves and just give you one invoice at the end. Most, I would just say, if you're a new investor or have only been doing it for like a year or so, typically that comes back with a score of, hey, there's a deposit and then a final invoice. But that's typically how that works. Did that answer your question, Adam?
Yeah, that's perfect, Bobby. And I think that's good. Alvin, if you want to just wrap up with this last question, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good piece of my questions. So I had the second question. I'll just go with that one. So I've worked with contractors that work with REITs before. And so I want to kind of talk about the bad experiences, and then I want to hear how you guys, mitigate against that. Biggest problem being was with the smaller crews, I kind of was able to dictate the rules, like say, hey, if I come to the site and nobody's there, could be $100 a day fine, for leaving the project. Whereas when I work with the bigger companies, they have their own standards and processes, and there becomes a lack of accountability that I can hold their feet to the fire. So I found on those projects, those will go over on time period. And I know everybody says, oh man, I'm taking longer. That's money out of my pocket too. I want to finish your job as quick as possible. And, you get a lot of that lip service, but when you have somebody working that hard at scale, sometimes I feel like, maybe the company overloads those crews. So then the quality drops. So, to kind of summarize my question, like what levers do you have in place for accountability for the crews? Because you guys are at scale. You want to move fast. You want to move efficiently. You want to have good quality. But where the quality drops or you're going over time limit, and I'm just sitting there and I don't have any levers to pull like I would if I was writing my own contracts.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, going back to controlling what you can control, what do you think? This is, it goes a little bit deeper than this, but my project manager is a W-2 employee. He gets
I leave it. That's exactly what I wanted to do. How do you know that? I tried.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Our project manager he's a salaried employee or she's a salaried employee, and they get graded, marked, and incentivized to be on time. I'm never going to incentivize somebody to be on budget because if that's the carrot, they will always be below budget. And the only thing that will suffer will be the project. I promise you, every single one. But I incentivize them. They get bonused on a monthly basis, or they get written up by being on time or early. So it behooves them. It's money in their pocket. They're walking your house 2 to 3 times a week. It's what I don't like. And I will say this, like you as the owner, it's your home. It's my liability. It's my insurance, right? So I'd like you to say, hey, say the project manager is Jeff. Hey, Jeff, I'd like to come by, do a progress walk with you on Tuesday. Great. That project manager will figure out a time that works for the both of you. He can be there. He can make sure nobody's doing something that's going to put you in harm's way. And then, be able to answer the questions that are when you are there. But for him, if he's going to make his bonus every single month, his projects have to be on time. If his projects aren't on time, he misses out on his complete bonus. And I pay pretty good bonuses to my team. That's part of their salaried structure. And so they are very consistent in hitting them. I can just tell you, I can give you the data, and I know we don't trust each other yet, so that doesn't mean anything to you. I promise I understand that. But that's what how we've made our reputation of that. And quite frankly, if I have a crew that doesn't show up and doesn't sign their contract, within 24 hours of dispatch, I move to the very next crew, and I've got people banging down my door looking for work. So that's how we do it.
And then the second piece, I guess, from the quality standpoint, and slash like material choices, like if I'm doing a $700,000 ARV flip versus a $300,000 versus a rental, and I know it's different material grades, like how is that handled with the end quality?
Well, the first thing we need to know that's going to have to be on the front side. When I'm asking for the recipe, what does the wind look like for that house? I need to know, hey, we're going high end, tier 2, 750 ARV. We're going to spec it with our tier 2 stuff that is there. We are definitely not the custom contractor. Like you're going to see on HGTV, hey, let's shiplap the heck out of this thing. And I want 43 different colors in the house. We've got a white scheme, a tan scheme, a gray scheme. Our 2 carpets match the paints. Our 2 LVPs match the paints. Our 2 countertops match the different paints. Our cabinets. It's our wheelhouse is that median price point or below, right? certain markets of my, like Vegas, we do high end luxury stuff there all the time. My renovation director there, Julie, she has been on, not only has a design background, a general contracting background, but she's also got an agent background too. So like she knows how to, and she's got the crews to be able to do that. I would never tell you, yes, we could do a high end project in Houston or St. Louis or Minneapolis. Those crews are not built for that. So we would know that on the front side. Because like I said, I want a good partner is going to either give you a good yes or a good no. I don't want to give you a bad yes, and then it ends up hurting the partnership.
All right. Thank you. I know we're limited on time, so I can touch base with you more in Tampa.
Well, here's my QR code up here. If anybody wants to scan that, we could schedule some time before November, or if if you've got projects that you need in the hopper. But I'll be there hanging out with Adam, with everybody, and I like a good cigar. I like an adult beverage, and I never will be considered skinny, so I also like to eat. So if we want to break some bread or have a drink and get to know each other with your crew, count me in. I'll be there.
Yeah, awesome, Bobby. Hey, man, really appreciate you coming on late night. You guys don't know this, but Bobby went from an event in Tampa with me and then flew into Texas for like 8 minutes, did a presentation, and then flew back and just got back home. So it means a lot for you to come on with our community and our people and spend the time with us. And we're excited to have you in Tampa.
Man, happy to be here, brother. Happy to be here. It was so great to meet everybody. Looking forward to see you in person. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Hey, if you love today's guest, we're doing an event November 5th through 8th in Clearwater Beach, Florida. It's members only. It's very exclusive. No selling. It's just going to be an amazing event for real estate investors, house flippers, and entrepreneurs. You can apply to come. Now, you'll have to pay for your spot, but you could get in the room with some of the best house flippers in the United States. I highly recommend you apply. Click the link below. Apply to come to the event. If we select you, I'll see you in November 5th through 8th, Clearwater Beach, Florida. See you there.